Hey everyone, Eris Sharon here with the next installation of online course content delivery in these difficult times. So what I wanted to do, particularly for those of you who maybe have not taught online or who don't really use Blackboard, is just give a quick tutorial or show you how my Blackboard courses look, especially the ones that are fully online. As I mentioned in the intro video, we've transitioned from face-to-face teaching to fully online teaching kind of suddenly, but I have done online course delivery in the past, and so that's what I'm going to be showing you just to talk about how I set up my courses. So first of all, there's a number of different course management softwares available, but St. John's subscribes to Blackboard, and I think Blackboard's the sort of behemoth in the room, so most of you will probably be using Blackboard. And that's what I'm going to be primarily focused on. So this is what I see when I log into my to St. John's version of Blackboard. And if I click on courses, I can see all the courses that I either have running right now, and I've put in my favorites the courses that I'm currently teaching. And then the classes that I've taught in the past are viewable as well. And in fact, they go back to before I even started using Blackboard. They're still populated in the course management software, even if I hadn't been using Blackboard at the time. So for the purposes of showing you a fully online course, there's a couple things I just want to say. I've done fully online courses that are studio courses, particularly social media for the arts, and then something would be more like a lecture class, which is writing about the arts. But for this, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to show you social media for the arts. So this is a class that I taught fully online twice. And some of what you see in terms of announcements and sort of what's new is going to be a little bit dated, because after 7 days or after the semester is over, that sort of current material goes away. But I did think it would be helpful if you haven't taught online before to just see how I structure the environment. And one thing to keep in mind is that while Blackboard Ultra, which is the newest Blackboard version of Blackboard, is running in the background here, I'm still using the classic view because I find it easier, in particular if you're doing content where people see things on desktops. I think Ultra was created so that students who are on their phones all the time could really see the content easily. But now that face-to-face teaching has been suspended, I think more students will be going back to the desktop view simply because they're going to be kind of stuck at home. So first of all, what you come to is the home page. I have my contact information right at the top. The syllabus and grading I've also put up there. Now in our case, our syllabi are sort of dictated, and they're not necessarily specific to the individual instructor. Sometimes I have a much more detailed course outline, and sometimes I don't. Late policy is particularly important for online courses, and it comes into play because students, if they're not seeing you face-to-face, often just don't have that sense of urgency. So I talk about late assignments being penalized 4 points per day. I've taken that from some best practices of other colleagues who worked online for much longer. And I will say that once I sort of published that policy, I got a lot more assignments in on time. So just as an FYI. So what might be different, the different people sort of set up this view with this sidebar, the left sidebar navigation, and that's going to be different for different people. When I first started teaching online, I sort of went by project, or I think in some cases I went by like course content, assignments to turn in, and some like other broader categories. What I found was that it was hard for students to keep up with the content in those multiple views. So I transitioned to showing the content per week with the actual dates, because no one should be expected to remember that week 8 is November 26th or October 26th to November 1st. So just another note for those of you who are not super familiar with Blackboard, if you want to see what the students see, there's always this ability to go up to the eye and enter student preview mode. So I'm just going to show you that really quickly, what that looks like. And the reason I'm showing you that is that I have a lot more information down here on the left side that I see as the instructor that the students never see. And what I do when I'm creating assignments and creating online content for each week, this is just going to ask you if you want to save the data, and I never have. What I do is I check as I go. So if I'm developing the content for week 1, I will go to student preview mode and check it, because I have found occasionally I'm like, nobody did their homework, and it turns out that in fact there was some glitch with the Blackboard uploading the work, and so it didn't actually end up getting uploaded, and then I had a big problem because the students weren't seeing the assignment and I was sort of yelling, quote unquote, yelling at them, where's the assignment? So I break the content down by week. This is just what I found to be really helpful, is to have a different image at the top for each week. Now you don't have to do that, but what I find is that it clearly differentiates one week from the other, and that's helpful as you're moving through the content. I also sort of talk about what we're going to be doing this week and give a really specific list of what they have to do each week, so that if they get stuck down here in too much text, and I think this is the big problem with online content delivery, is that you have to write so much content out. So if you get stuck on that, you can just sort of do your checklist and make sure you've done what you need to for the week. I also do intro videos for my fully online classes. Now that's keeping in mind that I had time to prepare. And in our current situation where we're transitioning from face-to-face to online content, really at a day's notice, most faculty probably won't have time for that. But I did find that videos were really helpful because it's just a short, quick way of students getting an encapsulation of what you're looking for. And for those of you who are wondering how I made them, I have a Mac and I just did it in QuickTime, where I did either a QuickTime movie or a screen capture for tutorials. And then I have my assignments and my reading all below for each week. So once one week is completed, they move on to the next week. They get that list, they get the intro video with me. They sometimes get a podcast or a tutorial video. This is a tutorial video on how to submit to VoiceThread, which I will be talking about in another video that I'm doing for this. And then if there's a bunch of questions, or if students aren't kind of getting it, quote unquote, I will sometimes do a video on what I'm looking for specifically when I'm grading, or I'll do some clarification video. I always say how long the videos are, so that if somebody's on the train or in some other situation, they know if they have time to listen to the content or watch the video, because it says how long it is really clearly. So that's a little bit of how I set up just the basic course structure. I have discussions, which I use forums, so students aren't creating individual threads. And I have some extra, oh, there's nothing here, some extra information, like extra content from previous years. I'll kind of archive sometimes right in the course. But you'll see, if you haven't used Blackboard before, you'll see this slash next to the items that are invisible to students. So this little box with a slash through it shows that it's invisible to students. And of course, all the course management materials also invisible to students. I would say the big takeaways are that I found that organizing by week was really helpful, and having a list of what they will need to complete as tasks was really helpful. And I have that for every week. Other things I think, are customizable, and I've just done some things because they work for me. But those are the things that I would say are the biggest takeaways. I'll be doing additional videos about specific things that I think work well with the visual arts, such as VoiceThread in particular, and or giving feedback via video in subsequent videos to this. So hopefully this is helpful just as a brief tour through Blackboard, and please use the forum to ask questions or tell me what videos you would like for additional content going forward, and we will try and do that.